And Lamb, huh?
We're so ready for this shit, man. Yeah.
No way.
I'm Steve Gaunt.
And I'm Noah Patrick Hunt III.
And this is Last Take. Alright. And this is Last Take. Noah Patrick Hunt III. Are the Golden State Warriors the best team in the Western Conference?
Well, I do believe that they are. But what brings up a valid argument that would state that Golden State is the best team in the Western Conference is last night the Mavs lost to Golden State. And the Mavs are statistically the best offense in the Western Conference and in the NBA out of all. Which really surprised me because on paper, the winning streak's chance of survival with the Warriors going on the road to Dallas without their center, Andrew Bogut, was slim to none. But in the first quarter, they were leading as much as to 28, which doesn't really prove much because we already knew that their offense could produce. But really what surprised me is how they held the Mavs to as little as many points as they did, which is pretty impressive. So that's a very strong argument for Golden State being the best team in the Western Conference.
I totally agree with you. The Golden State Warriors are the best team in the Western Conference. Third in points per game scored, sixth in points given up in the entire league. Great help. Outside the Splash Brothers, you got Draymond Green, 13.5 points a game. He has been phenomenal. Mo Speights, outstanding performance from him off the bench. He's just been unbelievable. And then you have Andrew Bogut, who they were without against the Dallas Mavericks. And you got him 5th in the NBA in blocks. That's
a strong player.
Yeah, strong player, strong rebounder. He has been great for them. But they upcoming, not just with the Dallas Mavericks, their next 3 games are really going to test their ability in the Western Conference. You got tonight against the New Orleans Pelicans with MVP candidate Anthony Davis. And how great defensively that team has been. That is really going to test their offense. And also with how explosive Anthony Davis has been on offense, scoring all these points.
And on defense.
And on defense too. It's just a huge test with that game. And then at the Memphis Grizzlies, a couple nights later, one of the best defenses in the league, top 5 in defensive efficiency. You got another test for this offense. Steph Curry and those boys really need to. They're really tested, and then you host Oklahoma City, who just recently got back their 2-star players, Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, and man, another test. But that's more of a defensive test, which defensively they are first in the NBA in defensive efficiency, which I think is outstanding compared to last year. Kind of iffy last year. It's going to be tested, man. I think with these next 3 upcoming, don't be surprised if they drop one of these and they don't win one of these games. It's going to be tough to see.
It'll be fun.
Alright, so coming up next, buy or sell on Brian Hoyer. Is he really done in the NFL? After these messages, we will get back to you.
You want me to start this?
Yeah.
Alright.
That's what I'm waiting for.
So the question is, this is a major debate in the Browns franchise. Buy or sell on Hoyer?
I think, honestly, you got to buy this kid, man. He can play. It's just the Cleveland Browns, the team around him has just struggled this season.
Mhm.
The offensive line. It's a good, solid offensive line. They're just not. They're not helping them. They're not helping them at all. The defense, the run defense, has just been horrible. You cannot hold a running back under 100 yards. You just can't do it. Alfred Blue, when they played Houston, running
Just
100.
2 hours ago. Just 2 hours
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
Jeremy Hill, 138 yards. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's embarrassing. It's an embarrassment.
And Giovanni Bernard did good too.
Yeah, for how good the Cleveland Browns team is. They're just not performing that well. And I think it's not because of Brian Hoyer. Of this long streak of Brian Hoyer not scoring touchdowns, it is the defense not stopping anyone.
I think it
when-
all
when
comes
they're on
down
the
to
field.
the wide receivers.
Yeah, and also on that game-winning drive last week, Josh Gordon, he dropped that pass. That pass was in his hands. He had it. He just couldn't hang on to it. But
I mean, I was pointing more towards like Miles Austin.
yeah,
Towards that direction. I mean, I know he's hurt, but
yeah,
That's what I was
and
planning.
Brian Hoyer, he's got a great arm. The one thing that he needs to fix is not throwing to the designed route every single play. You can tell because Josh Gordon is always the pre-route target.
yeah.
And you see that he targets him the most out of almost every other receiver combined. It's just, that's what he needs to fix. Once he gets that fixed, I think he's a top 15 quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, you gotta admit though, Josh Gordon is a pretty solid target. I mean, and he doesn't really have any other targets outside of him. I mean,
Yeah, Andrew Hawkins,
Andrew Hawkins is. I mean,
he's had his games.
he's a decent prospect, but you know. All right. So on that note, I think they should buy Hoyer, especially if you're looking towards the Manziel side. I think you need to give Manziel more time to get more experience. I think you need to, when you start him. I think you need to start him game 1, season 1, and let him progress through the season and gain more experience.
Yeah, but you could tell
Because
from this week, he is just not. Johnny Manziel did not look comfortable at all that game.
No, he was starting off the back foot like every other play.
Yeah, it was bad.
And another thing is, it's so hard because a quarterback is your team captain basically. That's what leads the offense most of the time.
Yes,
So-
every great.
So
team has a
so
quarterback.
switching to Brian Hoyer to Johnny Manziel and not giving those starters reps with Johnny Manziel is hurting not only Johnny Manziel, but it's also hurting the Browns offense and the Browns team as a whole. I mean, if you can keep the offense off the field, that's less time that the defense is on the field. Give them more snaps, then your defense will perform better. But, I mean, I don't know. It's something that I've grown, like, accustomed to, like, watching the Browns year after year. It just continuously happens. I mean, it's the Browns organization. What can I say?
Alright, so when we get back, Adrian Peterson, week 1 of this season. Could it be the last time we ever see him on a football field?
All right.
We'll tell you about it after these messages. And we're back. Noah. Week 1 of this season, Adrian Peterson. Is it the last time we ever see him on the football field?
I mean, I have a strong opinion about this. I know a lot of people do. A lot of fantasy owners are mad. A lot of NFL owners are mad. A lot of NFL PA members are mad. Players Association members are mad. I believe that what happened to him is a little bit unfair. I mean, everybody does. I mean, except for like a couple people, but that doesn't matter. Alright, so I don't think that he is gonna retire. I believe that he is a little impatient to get on the field, but I would be too if I was in his situation because he was supposed to be back as soon as he got all the court situation settled out, all the law issues. And that happened, and the NFL's Players Association still... I mean, not the Players Association, sorry. The Roger Goodell, the famous Roger Goodell, didn't let him back. And, I mean, he is a little overwhelmed by the situation, and he is trying to figure a way out of it. But, I mean, you can't force it, and that's what he's trying to do. He's just bluffing to get into, to show what he's made of.
Adrian Peterson has been very overwhelmed with this situation.
I mean, we both agree on that.
He's growing impatient with this entire situation. He feels that he's being robbed of coming back, and he just can't take it anymore. And he can't reapply for reinstatement until April 2015, and even that's going to take a while.
Yeah.
That could take over a month, 2 months. So he might not even be back in time for training camp.
I mean, they were talking about Roger Goodell getting lifted from his duties as, you know, the enforcer of the suspensions, which will be good, not because I don't like Roger Goodell, even though I don't like him, but because that means someone will be focused just on that one point, and, I mean, that'll help speed up the process for players and will lead to better player happiness and better fan happiness.
Yeah. Adrian Peterson, I think it's the last time I'll ever see him on the football field.
I hope not.
It's just too much for someone who doesn't really have that much time left in the league.
No.
So Adrian Peterson, I think whatever you do, I respect your decision, but as a fan of what you've done your career,
of what the Vikings have,
what the Vikings' success, the entire organization of the Minnesota Vikings, and what the Players Association is doing with this situation, I think it's time to hang it up, bro. Alright, so when we come back, who will win the NFC South? Will it be the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints? And with this win for Carolina, could this still put them in the race? Well, we'll find out.
So this topic is more of a, I don't know, it's kind of comical.
Embarrassing.
Embarrassing.
It's truly embarrassing.
So, I mean, as everyone knows that watches NFL football, is the NFC South is kind of like the joke right now. Because,
oh my!
I mean, they'll have a division winner that won't even have an over 500 record, which will be pretty exciting because it doesn't matter. I mean, Tampa Bay's still in the playoff contention. And what are they? They're like 3-8.
Yeah.
All right. So, who will be the NFC South winner, Steve?
This is why sometimes the NFL just makes me wonder. To the point that you have a division-winning team under 500. They shouldn't even be in the playoffs. They should not even be in the playoffs. I think it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And it's embarrassing towards the league, towards that entire division, and the entire NFC. And none of these teams in this division should make the playoffs. None of these teams in this division, they shouldn't even have a winner. You know what? Just all tied, because they're all equally terrible. The Saints are a joke. The Falcons are a joke. The Carolina Cam Newton.
I mean, he doesn't suck.
They're playing him hurt. He's hurt, and you're still playing him. It is embarrassing. So all right. So New Orleans, you're going to Chicago tomorrow night.
Oh wait, may I bring up a point? And you know what else hurts is when you have a wild card team going into the playoffs, and then they'll probably face the Falcons, right? And they won't get home field advantage, even though they have a way better record. It's kind of...
It's just pathetic. It is pathetic. Alright, so you got New Orleans going to Chicago tomorrow night. 2-4 on the road. And we all know that the Saints have had a history of not playing well outside of the Superdome. Yeah, it's just been
They haven't played well. They haven't played well in the Superdome either.
It's so bad. But alright, so going to Chicago with a very hungry Chicago Bears football team. When you got without Brandon Marshall, which he's out for the year by a injury suffered last Thursday against the Dallas Cowboys, like you said, Barry Church. But we're not going to get into that.
Yeah, that'll be a different day.
Different day, different time. We'll do it during the commercial break. Chicago will win Monday night. I just cannot see New Orleans with how bad they've played on the road this year, how bad they've even played at home. The lack of use with Jimmy Graham, you don't really have anyone else after that. Marquise Colston's been a bust.
Fumble. Kenny Stills,
yeah, he's a one. He'll get you 1-2 good plays. And the run game, that's where they've been living by this year. Mark Ingram, he's starting to break out. People thought his first couple years in his career, he was going to be a bust after winning the Heisman. He's proving it this year, and I'm glad. So Chicago's going to win, and then next week you host Atlanta, which the crap bowl. You pretty much.
That'll be a fun game to watch.
The win or go home. What? 4-8 now? 4-8.
4-8. Wait! No, 4-9.
Yeah,
4-9.
Yeah, it's no worse than that now. It's like 5-10. No, 4-11. 4-11.
It's not 4-11.
5-11. I don't even know. They're so bad. But
I don't pay attention.
Yeah, I don't care about this division. This division has no effect on my Dallas Cowboys. No one in this division has any effect on the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, the Saints did when Dallas, whooped them. But all right, I think New Orleans will lose at Chicago. They will lose to Atlanta. I think Atlanta's more ready. I think Atlanta is more ready for that game. And then they go to Tampa Bay, which I think they'll lose again. I think they will lose every game for the rest of the season. They will lose out. But then you got Carolina.
That's a joke. That's not.
They came up with the win against Tampa Bay. With Cleveland, Johnny Manziel, with how he played this week, I know it's only his first game, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good with Cleveland. So I think Carolina will walk away with that win, too. And then you go to Atlanta, where Carolina, when it comes to this division, they are a pretty strong team. They can probably win. I have them winning out for the rest of the season. And then Tampa Bay, which I think is the last team to be in contention, they lost to Carolina. Then they got to host Green Bay. Green Bay, dude. Oh my! I know they lost to Buffalo.
That'll be a field day. That'll be a field day.
With how bad Alteron Werner has been this year. Alteron Werner has not been that great of a corner this year. And who's good in Tennessee. And now he's not doing it here in Tampa.
That happens to Darrell too.
Yeah, Tampa Bay is not a great place for corners to be. Now definitely
money-wise it is. Money-wise is off you.
Then they host New Orleans. I think they can win that game, but I'm not even so sure about that one either. They could tie. A tie. But whatever. Atlanta, they're lost in a hard-fought game, 27-20 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then you Then you go to New Orleans. I think they're ready. They can win that game. I think they are ready. They are mentally and physically ready for that game against the New Orleans Saints. And then you got Carolina. You host Carolina. And that's a game that Atlanta should be able to win. But just because of how good Carolina's played against this division, I don't know. I think the winner of this division will be the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons will walk away with this division.
Well, see, I'd have to agree with you about Atlanta winning, but only if one thing happens, you know. They have had so many injuries to their team, so many. It's kind of frustrating. I could only imagine being a Falcons fan, seeing Julio Jones being benched in one of their biggest games for playoff contention against Pittsburgh. I know most people would think that they wouldn't stand a chance, but I mean, what they were 3 points away from being Green Bay. They were 3 down, so 37-34, right?
I was 43-37.
43. That's not a bad game. That's a 1-score game, which is surprising.
Yeah. With one of the best teams in the NFL, they compete, but
I believe that most teams are exploiting. I don't know what the flaw is in Green Bay's whole entire scheme, but I believe that someone has found that, and they're exploiting it. I mean, but that's a completely different subject. So, another thing is, but if Atlanta doesn't stay healthy, which will be a hard thing for them to stay healthy, as we all know, then New Orleans will win, only because of their run game. I mean, you can say that Drew Brees is a veteran quarterback, and we all know he's proved over and over again, consistently, after every game. Not this season, but last season.
The year before that, when he passed, was it Dan Marino?
Yeah.
For that record, yeah.
It's just, you know, I believe, but I do think that the Saints are a very experienced team, while the Falcons are more young talent. And I mean, even though the Seahawks did good last year, and they were all young talent at one time, you know.
Alright, so coming up next, it's probably the biggest game in the NFC this season. The Dallas Cowboys on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles. Right after this, we'll talk about it.
Don't talk about it too much.
And we're back. Noah, biggest game of the season. You're an Eagles fan, I'm a Cowboys fan, so this is going to be great.
It's going to get heated.
Who is going to come out on top tonight? The Dallas Cowboys or your Philadelphia Eagles?
Now, I might be a little bit biased with this argument, but I mean,
yeah,
Philly pride. I mean, you guys represent the home team, but in all honesty, I mean, as much as I try, I mean, it's still biased, but I'll try not to. So, the biggest struggle for both of these teams is easily their secondary. Neither of them have very strong secondaries. I mean, when the Eagles went up to Green Bay, and they went up to Lambeau, the frozen tundra, and they just
got humiliated.
I don't.
Yeah, went up there.
It was just hard. It was hard to watch.
It was the complete opposite a week later, but
Yeah.
with my Dallas Cowboys. But what the Dallas Cowboys need to do,
But
what they really lack to do on first down, is pass the ball.
yeah,
They would stack the box,
DeMarcos.
and then they stack 8 on the box, 8 stacked up. You're still gonna pound it in the middle. You can't do that. And then you got one-on-one coverage with Brandon Fletcher against Des Bryant. That shouldn't be a challenge. You gotta hit him with the play action a couple times on first down if you even think of having a shot against the Philadelphia Eagles. If they don't do that, I think the Eagles will walk away with this win. But that's I think Jason Garrett and this entire offense knows that they need to step up.
Another thing. First, we're gonna do. I'm gonna basically say this is gonna be a shootout. I mean, we can. I mean, your prediction doesn't say it as much as mine, but I mean, with these two very, very bad defenses, it's only a matter of time until one team steps up and starts scoring, and it would have to be the other team's job to come back and retaliate and score more points. But I really believe that, I mean, we all know that the Eagles walked into Jerry's world on Thursday, right? And that means they had that extended time period to play against the Seahawks. But I really don't believe that they spent all that time just on the Seahawks. I believe that their focal point was the Dallas Cowboys. I believe that general manager and Chip Kelly sat down and said, we need to win this game. We need to really show, because that's the biggest game in the playoff race right now. I mean,
It is, because
I mean, we all probably know that the Eagles will probably make the playoffs, at least a wild card. They're, one game from clinching?
yeah,
And
they are with this one tonight. They will clinch the NFC East.
It's just, I don't know. It's hard to actually get an unbiased thing from me and Steve, but alright, what do you think, Steve?
One player on this defense is going to change a lot for the Dallas Cowboys. Barry Church. Barry Church is going to have to play elite in this game if they want to win. He needs to knock balls down. Because
break a couple ribs again.
Alright, that's a totally different discussion. We'll talk about that during the commercial. But, Barry Church, he has been the most outstanding player on this Cowboys defense this season. He really has. He has stepped up. When the Dallas Cowboys defense needs someone to step up, two players, Rolando McClain and Barry Church. And you know, Barry Church is going to have to make those big plays. Because you know the Eagles are going to throw the ball and run the ball. They're going to do everything all over the Cowboys. So Barry Church is going to have to stop them on defense. And you know, Barry Church can do that. So I think, and also Rolando McClain, he's going to need to read Mark Sanchez a lot better during this game. I think the Dallas Cowboys win this one 24-13. Alright, well, that's our show.
Wait. One more thing, the predictions of the score. Alright, I predicted Eagles coming out of this game 40-33.
Alright, well, that's our show.
You need to do your predictions.
I said already. Alright, so that's it. We'll see you next episode of Last Take.
Girl, you just did it.
I'm gonna make this.
I get it, man. Fuck all that talking. Take shots to the kidney. Down payment on the jackpot. Your boy got credit. 12 months on the lease. That's a come on, baby. Don't you? Connections ahead. Every nigga they fuck with you. That shit out in
Got it.
Fuck over, fuck man, it's fucking.